We sat around the burning campfire. It was myself and 5 other friends. We would come out to our local woods often, make a campfire, tell ghost stories, and cook s'mores. It reminded us of a real life. Are you afraid of the dark? Anyway, it was way past midnight. The moon was high, and my one friend was in the middle of telling a ghost story that he had read off the internet. We were all quiet, listening intently on the story that he was telling, when suddenly, we heard a twig snapping just beyond the tree line. This wasn't too much of a concern. The woods we were in weren't known for anything dangerous. At most, it was probably a deer, a raccoon, or maybe even a squirrel. We continued to listen to my friend tell his ghost story, when suddenly, a dark, sinister laugh erupted only feet away from us. We all went silent. We tried to look hard in the dark forest around us, but we couldn't see much past the burning campfire. "Guys, we should get out of here," one of my friends said, standing up, a nervous look on his face. I was about to agree with him when our one friend who was telling the ghost story said, "No, wait here." He stood up and then went into the dark forest. We all pleaded with him not to go, but he did not listen to us and disappeared into the dark woods. We all sat there in silence, eagerly listening for any sign that our friend was okay. After about 5 minutes of hearing nothing but the rustling of leaves, we started to become very nervous for our friend. We were collectively about to go and search for him in the woods when an unnatural gust of wind came and blew out our campfire. We were submerged in total darkness. The moon above us was covered by clouds, and I could not even see my hands in front of my face. Just then, all of my friends screamed in terrifying agony around me, and I fell to the ground, horrified and confused at what just happened. It was completely silent now. I could not hear any of my friends anymore. My heart pounded loudly in my chest. I tried to crawl away, clumsily stumbling between trees and rocks. That's when an ice-cold hand rested on my shoulder. I turned my head slowly to see who had put their hand on me, but the darkness was too thick, and I couldn't see anyone. Whoever, or whatever they were, spoke to me the last words that I would ever hear. They whispered, "Time to die." Have you ever stared out of a window at night and wondered if anyone was staring back? If you have, this story will intrigue you. It was a Friday night. I was home alone, and it was pouring rain outside. The weatherman was calling for 4 to 5 inches of rain and thunderstorms throughout the entire night. So me being a teenager and home alone at the time, that meant only one thing: binge watching horror movies. I know this may sound weird, but thunderstorms and horror movies were always comforting to me. I had my microwave pizza, my cell phone fully charged, and Netflix pulled up on my living room TV. I was ready to fully enjoy the thunderstorm. After watching 2 horror movies straight through, my bladder felt like it was going to explode. I made my way to the bathroom, which was on the opposite end of our house. To get there, you had to walk through our kitchen, which had a massive window that faced our backyard. I stopped in front of the window for just a second to admire the huge thunderstorm going on outside. Lightning flashed, and my entire backyard lit up. Rain was pounding hard on the window. It could have been the 2 horror movies that I just watched, but my heart rate was a little high, and I was just casually looking out my window, making sure there was nothing unusual or scary out there. It's a silly thought, I know, but when you're home alone and it's pouring rain outside, sometimes your mind just wanders. But just as I expected, there was nothing. Just my face in the reflection of the window. That was it. I then made my way to the bathroom and did my business. As I was returning to the living room to put on another horror movie, I decided to look out my kitchen window one last time, just to make sure there was nothing out there. I gazed out my window, knowing how silly I was for thinking that there was something out there, and that's when my heart dropped. There, directly in front of me, was a pale white face with an extremely wide grin, and the pupils that looked back at me were ink black. I nearly passed out from shock. I blinked hard, trying to will away this horrific face staring at me that I knew could not be real. When I opened my eyes, the pale white face was gone. Lightning flashed again, illuminating my entire backyard, and there was no one there. I let out a sigh of relief. I started to laugh at myself for imagining such foolish things. Sometimes when you watch horror movies during a thunderstorm home alone, you start to imagine some crazy things in your head. I finally made it back into my living room and put on another horror movie, the whole time telling myself I was just imagining things until I eventually fell asleep. The next morning, it was a bright and clear day. I checked my cell phone to see if I had any missed calls or notifications. There was no notifications, but I did have one text message from a phone number that I did not recognize. In fact, the text message wasn't even from a normal phone number. It was a bunch of letters and symbols that I did not recognize. I opened the message, but immediately wished I hadn't. All it said was, "You were not imagining it." When I was 9 years old, my mom took me to Walmart to go shopping. It was almost my birthday, so my mom was going to let me pick out 2 toys from the toy section. Of course, the toys had to be under $20 because we didn't have money like that back then. Either way, I was ecstatic that I could pick out some gifts for my birthday. I don't quite remember how, but my mom and I got separated. Back then, this wasn't as big of a deal as it is today. I believe she was looking at some things in the pharmacy section, but I stayed in the toy section looking up and down the aisles at different toys. I was looking at this board game when suddenly from behind me, I heard a voice say, "Hey kid, look at this." I turned around, and standing in front of me was a tall old man wearing a long trench coat and some kind of top hat. Even though I was 9 years old, something inside of me said that this guy was bad news. I was suddenly very aware that my mom was not near me. I took a step back, but the old man said, "Here, son, take this." The old man held out a teddy bear. It looked brand new. The hesitation and fear that I had started to disappear. If this man was evil, why would he be handing me a teddy bear? I was about to reach out and grab the teddy bear from the man when I heard my mom's voice from behind me say, "Come on, we need to ring out." The teddy bear fell to the ground, and there was a loud metallic sounding noise when it hit. I looked up, and the old man in the trench coat was suddenly gone, but the teddy bear still remained on the ground. Confused as to why a plush and fluffy teddy bear would make a metallic noise when it hit the ground, I bent over to pick it up. But before I could, my mom came sprinting behind me and said not to touch the bear. She picked it up by the hand and held it in between her finger and thumb. My mom started pulling one long rusted metal nail after another out of the teddy bear. By the time she was done, she had pulled out over 40 rusted nails. My mom kept asking me over and over again who had given me the teddy bear. I tried to explain to her it was the man in the trench coat with the top hat on. My mom eventually got the Walmart security involved, and they went to look at the video footage. But after an hour of looking through the film thoroughly, the security saw no old man in a top hat with a trench coat on. I can't explain how the security footage never picked up the man on camera, because then how do you explain the teddy bear full of old rusted nails that he was trying to give me? To this day, my mother and I both cannot explain what happened and who that man was. I don't know if he was a shapeshifter, a ghost, or something worse, but what I do know is that he was definitely evil. I never believed in the urban legends that my friends from the neighborhood tried to tell me. They were always telling me about this ghost story or that ghost story just to try to scare me. But believe me, I never fell for it. I was always the skeptic in our friend group. I never believed in ghosts or legends or other spirits. I always believed that there was a logical explanation behind it, or it was simply just a prank. But there was always this one ghost story that my friends would never stop telling. It was called The Midnight Man. Basically, it went like this. At midnight, if you went to your bedroom closet and spoke these exact words, "Midnight Man, Midnight Man, Midnight Man, come out to play," then apparently your closet door would open and you would be welcomed by the Midnight Man, and he would bring you into his world for all of eternity. When I would hear my friends tell this story, I would think it was the dumbest thing that I've ever heard. I couldn't believe that my friends would believe such a dumb, stupid hoax as the Midnight Man. I was so angry with them that to prove my point, I told them that tonight I will wake up at midnight, go to my closet, and say those exact same words. All my friends begged me not to do it. They pleaded with me, but I said no. I'm going to do this just to show you how stupid it is believing these things. So that night, I set myself an alarm for 11:55. I woke up and got out of bed and went to my closet. I had written down the chant I was supposed to say to summon the Midnight Man and stood in front of my closet. I took a deep breath and said the chant, "Midnight Man, Midnight Man, Midnight Man, come out to play." I'm not gonna lie, for a few seconds I was actually terrified. I stared hard at my closet, expecting to see it open and some grisly, horrifying monster to come out and take me away. But as I stood there, nothing happened. I couldn't wait to tell my friends the next morning that I did the chant, and nothing happened just like I said it would. I took my cell phone out of my pocket and watched the time go from 11:59 to 12 midnight. That's when I heard a low growl come from deep within my closet. I took a step back, not believing that the Midnight Man existed, not believing that there could be anything other than clothes inside my closet right now. Then my closet door slowly opened. A grisly, dead, monstrous hand slowly emerged and grabbed onto the side of my closet door. Everything went black, and the last words that I ever heard spoken on this earth were, "Time to play."